This podcast is brought to you by Taaffes Bar. Taaffes Bar are Galway's #1 GA pub in the heart of the Latin Quarter with live Irish music twice a day.
So we're back with another edition of the Galway Senior and Intermediate Football Championship power rankings. Barry, is it getting any easier?
Well, we're kind of seeing the wood from the trees a little bit, aren't we, in terms of maybe teams we'd expected to be going really, really well at this stage maybe aren't. Other teams doing really well, maybe a little bit better than expected, and maybe some teams just disappointed. Or I think some teams, like the likes of Cullinane, have probably had a difficult enough start in terms of who they've played, and maybe would see their opportunities to pick up points in their last couple of games. So I think it's interesting. I don't think we got too much stick after the last round, Paul, did we? So didn't upset anyone too much. So hopefully today, or hopefully this week's will be the same, and no former inter-county greats will lose any sleep over the power rankings.
Yeah, no, it more so seemed to be on the intermediate side than the senior side last time. But it's good that this seems to be getting to people. I presume you can see on screen here the senior power rankings.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So we have 17 to 10 here. I'll just run through them first, and then we can get the reason behind why some teams are in certain positions. So 17th, Nivan and Letchermore, they stay where they were. On Spidale, go down one place after being hammered really by down at the weekend. 15th, Padstran are up one place after stealing it right at the death with a goal coming late on, courtesy of Joe Monaghan. Then in 14th, Dunmore McHale's remain where they were. A huge result for them, getting a draw against Montbellion at the weekend. Berna, who I mentioned there, they'll feel heartbroken after Cadistran robbed it right at the death against them. They're down 4 places. Nana down with a big victory over on Spidale, go up 1 place. St. James's, they had a comprehensive victory over Letchermore, up 1 place. And Cullinane putting up the Salt Hill right at the start, but in the end, probably just beaten comfortably. The loss of Patrick Sweeney for them there was pivotal, but so they're in 10th, down 2 places. 16th and 17th here, Barry. They're 2 teams that are just really struggling at the minute.
Yeah, and even if you look at their score difference, it's not great. Spidale's scoring difference is minus 41 points. Now, I know the result at the weekend didn't do them any favours on that one, but I think it's just a reflection, and a result like that at the weekend, it doesn't do their confidence any good in the games that they've left to play. So I think they're under a fair bit of pressure, and obviously Nivan and Lettermore, also under a fair bit of pressure. No points, scoring difference of minus 16, but I suppose the one thing that'll save them is it just the bottom team in each group that faces into relegation, or do 2 teams out of each group?
I'm not actually sure now.
I'm not sure on that one, but anyway,
relegation. I don't want to say no in case we're wrong. So
that's I didn't want to overcommit on that one, but look, they're under a bit of pressure. Like if you look at the bottom team in Group 2 with Cullinane, as I said, like I think they're just the loss of Patrick, they were doing well against Salt Hill. Loss of Patrick Sweeney, big blow to them, and kind of shift a bit of a beating at the end. But like they've played Corofin and they've played Salt Hill Knocknacarra. I think they've played Oughterard. I think that's their 3 games. That could be, and I'm sure someone
they have to play. They have to play. Cullinane have to play Oughterard and then Padstran.
So they'll play Barnes, Salt Hill and Corofin. So they would see that is probably 3 of the toughest teams in that group, and they'll see good opportunity then to pick out of it. Dunmore McHale's and Tuam, they face up, Dunmore, what a win against, or what a draw against Montbellion Mylock, like a brilliant result for them. And again, they're still in with a squeak and still playing really good football. So
yeah, they're 2 teams. Like even if you look at all the other groups, all the other teams that are maybe bottom have a bit of confidence and have put some positive performances together. These 2 teams just struggling at the minute. 15 Cadistran, like what they did at the weekend, because they had a setback. They lost their keeper. They put McCabe in goals. He's not usually a goalkeeper, and and just to snatch it then right at the end, and they had a black card as well, but they're deservedly up one place.
Oh, and probably could go more. I think it's just so tight there around that middle. Like, I think I've Miltown. I could be wrong at seventh, but like if you look at that Cullinane and James's and the down Barnet, that kind of St. Michael's, that kind of middle area, it's just so competitive, so tight that maybe Cardiff could go up a little bit further. But I must say I was hugely impressed with their spirit, and I suppose look, when you've Tommy Joyce over you, he'll bring that enthusiasm and that spirit to the team. And Cardiff Strand against Auckland Cara were full of it and full of, in the best possible way, like full of devilment and full of Tommy Joyce kind of, wanting to get in under their skin, and they were able to do it. And in fairness to them, they're probably look like a team that could be under a bit of pressure, but that result gives them really good hope. And their scoring difference isn't too bad. It's only -4. They now have their 2 points. So look, I don't see them qualifying for the knockout stages, but that's probably not where the priority was. But if they can stay safe, they'll be very, very happy with their year.
Why aren't Dunmore McHale's moved up after drawing with Ballymalloch?
That's exactly why they are, like, a brilliant result for them, and they deserve a reward. I don't think they'll be overly they won't have been overly worried about what reward I would have given them for moving for that draw. Look, it wasn't pretty, to say the least. They did what they had to do, and very, very defensive, and there'll be lessons and learnings from Ballymalloch in that. But again, Dunmore showed that they're not out of their depth of senior football. They put it up to St. Michael's, a seasoned senior team. Now they've done it against Mount Ballymalloch, and like they'll be happy. They've only played 2. They'll see good opportunities in the last couple of games for themselves too.
Is it more so they were in the lead and they didn't close it out, is why they've not gone up a place?
Well, more so, like, yeah, you can say that, but then, like, in all of this, you have to preface it and say, well, like, if someone goes up a place, I mean, somebody has to come down a place. And like, Down went up one place with a brilliant win. St. James's, really good win over Letchermore. Like, they've done well. They've 4 points. So do Dunmore McHale suddenly jump up them? And if Dunmore McHale's are playing St. James's at the weekend, who would you fancy winners at the moment? You'd probably still say St. James's. And like, when you speak St. James's, every week there seems to be, unfortunately, we have to send commiserations to someone, but like, they lost a stalwart of their club at the weekend. And when you think of St. James's, Alfie Howley's name is one of the first to come to your lips, and always a brilliant GA supporter, a great man for a chat, great man for a tip, or good tips, and maybe sometimes not so good, but brilliant character, brilliant football man, and huge condolences to Warwick and all Alfie's family on what's a sad time for them all. But St. James has reacted well and did his memory proud and had a good win. So that's my point. If I put Dunmore McHale's up further, then St. James's have to go back one, but they had a brilliant win over Letchermore. So it's all swings and roundabouts, Paul, and I think you're just trying to get me into trouble.
Yeah, no, just on Alfie Howley earlier, paid tribute to him, but there was a while I was working in Paddy Power, and I would have had a few interactions with Alfie, and just a great man for a GA chat. He'd want to know all that's going on. So condolences to everyone in St. James's, because really lost a GA legend and stalwart of Galway GA. In 13th, Barnet, they're down 4 places. Obviously, just right at the death.
Yeah, like, there's all, like, and I'm not saying they make excuses, but it is what it is, and they've been bet by Cardiff Strand, and like, not going, just not to me, not going overly well, and we'll be disappointed. We'll be disappointed in that, and would have expected that they'd kick on a little bit further, and they find themselves, because of that result, they find themselves down just with 2 points. I think it's 2 draws they've had. So just I think that result has knocked them. And as I said, like, and I mean this, there's a justifiable if they had an argument say, look, they don't deserve to be down that far because of that result. But I said it's just that middle section is now so competitive, and every week teams are beating every other team. So like we're going to have this after the next round, and there'll be lots of different changes around. Maybe not, the top might stay the same, the bottom might stay the same, but that middle 8 or 9 teams is very, very difficult to judge.
Yeah, I think it's a fair position because if you consider Bernard, Perfin, and Salton have to come, and they definitely would have looked at these 3 games and probably themselves, I'd say, would have looked at being at 6 points, and they're only on 2. So I think probably just deservedly in that position at the minute. And as are up 1 place, and I watched the game against Spittle on the stream, and I think up 1 place and in 12th position, there's definitely improvements when you consider from the first day out.
Yeah, 100%. And like as I said, they're second place in the group, but they're joint with St. James's and Miltown. They've played St. James's. They've now played on Spidgel, and I think they've played Letchermore. So they've Cullen and Miltown to come. So that's kind of was my thinking on it as well. And that, like, and this is no disrespect to them, but you'd expect them not to get any points out of the Cullen game, and then they're down to the Miltown game. So that was my reckoning behind that. But it's still very, very tight between those teams, and I think St. James's and Annadown deserve to go up spots. Miltown deserve to go up spots as well. So that group is just so tight, and you would expect that. Looking at it, probably one of the best third will come out of that group. That would be my thinking. But if it does happen, I think it's deservedly so. They're really putting it up, and unfortunately for Spidgel and Lettermore, they're feeling the brunt of a lot of it.
Yeah, and James is like going about the business nicely there as well, as you mentioned earlier on, putting a performance. But there's a difference in them this year compared to other years.
Absolutely, and they've got their house in order, and they've a good Clare Galway man in there, and Darrell Leonard, teacher in town with, I think he was teaching with Paul Conroy, so good old buddies with Paul, and Darrell has been around the block and would know his football, and I met him recently. He told me to keep them well down the rankings. So that's one club and one person that's given out to me for having them too high up the rankings.
Well, it's more positively than some comments, you could say.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. so no, they're going really well, and that's a good strong. Like I sometimes look at wins, yeah, but you look at the score, like 215, good score, conceding 9 points, like. Offensively, defensively, happy. They deserve to be up.
That game could have been a banana skin for them. Like if it was last year, you wouldn't be fully sure. Could they take their eye off the ball this year? So I think that says that there's a difference in them this year.
I think so, yeah. As I said, they just look better organised, better structured, playing better football, and look like they're enjoying it. So that there's a lot to say in that, and they're going about their business well. And like 11th probably doesn't do them justice, but as I said, you move them up, somebody else has to go down.
10th, Cullinane down 2 places. Were really, really competitive in the first half against Saltell. It was probably one of the most enjoyable halves of football this year in the championship so far, but just kind of petered out and down 2 places.
And like, if you're Barn or Cardiff, you could turn around easily and say, well, we're ahead in the group, we're ahead of Cullinane, but yet you have them ahead of us in this rankings crack. But it's just who they have that yet to come. I think they'll pick up points. Now, if Patrick Sweeney's out, I think they won't. But I'm prefacing this and saying if Patrick Sweeney's okay, then I think they'll pick up more points. I think they'll end up further up the table. I'm not sure they'll catch Uke Rars, get into third, but I think they'll probably finish just ahead of Cardiff and Barnett, but very, very tight. But a lot of it will just depend on Patrick Sweeney.
So just then, from 1 to 9 here we have so 1 to 5 stays the same. My Cullen first, Montbelly second, Kerfin third, Saltchillock and Carrick fourth, Claregoa fifth, Uhtred up 1 place in sixth, Miltown up 3 places, and seventh, Tuam down 2 places, and St Michael's up 2 places. St Michael's and Tuam, obviously, there's nothing between them. They obviously drew at the weekend, and nothing between them here in the power rankings.
Yeah, 100%. And Tuam will be disappointed now. If you were looking at, the back of that league final, maybe it goes to show what stock you can put on the league. Really impressive first 20-25 minutes against Claregalway, and they're now 2 points in, two games in with only 1 point, and they have Dunmore next. I think is it Dunmore next?
Dunmore next to Montbelly to finish.
Yeah, so Dunmore next. So like they have to get points out of that. Get no points out of that. The reality is they're gone and possibly facing into a relegation battle, and that's certainly not where they wanted to be. But St Michael's, St Michael's would be delighted. They've now 3 points from 3 points from 3 games, isn't it? Yeah, 3 points from 3 games, a draw and a win. And they face into the Claregalway game knowing that the reality is get a win against Claregalway, and that probably puts them into that second spot, because if they get a win against Claregalway, it puts them on 5 points. If Claregalway can then only get to 4 points. Tuam could get to 5, but that would mean they'd have to win their last 2 games. So and they'd have to get something out of the Montbelly game. So St Michael's probably in the driving seat between those two teams. Claregalway will still feel that they have it, having played Montbelly and Tuam. They will feel that they probably have. They might be in the best position to go and finish second in that group, but it's really, really competitive.
You obviously seen improvements in Michael's compared to the Montbelly game if you jumped them up 2-2.
Yeah, absolutely, and deservedly so. They looked like they took the balance slow. Like it's not an ideal pitch. For for them, they like to play a good kicking game. It can be a bit tight. But I thought forward play, I thought they had some really, really good scores, and they never looked like being cut open at the back. And I thought they looked good. They had a good structure about them. So personally, I thought they were good value for the draw, and probably would have been disappointed not to sneak it. But I would say if you offered them a draw, if they were looking at results in the group at the start of the year, and you said, look, you get a draw against Tuam, they'd say, yeah, we'll take that one, and put all our chips into the Claregalway one. Say that again.
Do you expect more from Tuam? Is that why they're down to?
Yeah, I do. To be honest, yeah, I was disappointed now. And they were a team that I thought, I thought they could go and really have a right cut at it and try and break into that top 3 or 4 teams. And as I said, just looking at them the first 20 minutes against Claregalway, and I saw them in one of the league games against Claregalway as well. Like they were really, really good, pacey, good forwards, but it just hasn't clicked for them since Darren Hennessy got that goal. They just never seem to recover and just seem to lack a bit of confidence at the moment.
Did you see positives then in Miltown's performance against Mike Cullen to put them up 3 places and into 7th?
I saw more positives from that than I did from some of the other games. Now, in saying that, they could have taken a tanking, and the positive that I took from it was that they didn't. They battled back well. They showed good composure. They never, Mike Cullen had them on the rack, and they could have got overrun. And at times they did, but they battled and battled and battled. And we know that group they're in is really, really tight. There's no guarantee of where any team is going to end up. There's no team really showing the form to put their hand up and say we're definitely number 2 in this group. But to me, the team that's just slightly edging their hand up is Miltown, and very, very impressed with a lot of their younger footballers. And it's they're such a proud footballing club that we know maybe for a couple of years there they were struggling maybe to get new players through, but now they've got a couple of really exciting talents, and um, it's they're they'll they'll mature, and they'll bring them on, and they'll find their feet in senior football, and this so far is a really good year for them.
Impressed by Gerard's performance then against Kerfin to put them up one.
Yeah, I've been beaten, I suppose, Duke Gerard drum for a while. I think they're a good team. I had said on Galway Bay the Friday night I expected them to go and really have a cut of Corofin, and I thought they did. At times, I thought they and maybe one of the failings of Uachtarard at times, they're given opportunities to go and win games, and they maybe don't have the confidence or the self-belief to go and do it. But I definitely think they're a good team, and I'm not sure. Like, look, again, going back to this, the reality is from I suppose Salty and Knocknacarra down to Cullinane, St James's, and down Barna. Like, any of those teams can beat each other. But I just think if you're looking at style of play, teams maybe trying to push on a little bit, I think Uachtarard would be one of those teams.
They're Galway obviously in fifth, not much to comment on there. They didn't play over the weekend. They obviously had the bye there, but they've recovered obviously from the Montbellew defeat and defeated Tuam that day, so they stay in fifth and remain where they are. Fourth, Sultan Knocknacarra. Third, Kerfin. Second, Montbellew Mallow. First, Cullen. These are what you classify as the big four, and that's where everyone's trying to get to. How do you see the big four now?
Yeah, like, first of all, on Salty Knocknacarra, again, another team that it was an extremely difficult weekend for them. And again, like, hugely unfortunate circumstances. Condolences to Finian and his mom and his sisters and his brother. Like, terrible tragedy, and we think of Angus Hanley, but Salty Knocknacarra, it was tough on them, and they struggled early on, but kind of got to grips with it. And I think I think Cathal Sweeney is a Rolls Royce footballer. I think he's excellent. I think he gives us so much positive go forward, and I thought he was exceptional again at the weekend. And Rob Finnerty, who made a really good recovery. Like, if you saw him being carried off against Cardiff Strand, you'd be saying, he's under pressure for this season, never mind for 2 weeks' time, and recovered and kicked 2-4. So, they'll be getting bodies back, they'll be improving, they'll still have a big say in it. Energy levels were a lot better than what they were, and they stayed fourth, and justifiably stayed fourth. In terms of, I'll keep going. Didn't think Corofin were really impressive against Salty Knocknacarra first out, but haven't.
Have they gone back a bit in their last two games?
Haven't overly built on it. I'm not sure if they come back, but they haven't built on it. And you couldn't say they were outstanding against Cullinane, and you couldn't say they were outstanding against Duke Gerard. And they've lost a lot of players. I didn't see this game, but just reading and chatting to people, like, obviously we know no Ian Burke, no Jason Linnard, so it's not the Corofin of old, and they're third, justifiably third. But I would say they're a little bit behind Montbellew, Mallow, and Cullen. And like, if you're to say if a team could get plus points in that being at number one, you'd have to say it's Cullen. Like,
just a bit ahead of Montbellew's result of the weekend.
We gave Miltown due credit and justifiable credit for scrambling and not throwing in the towel against Cullen. But you also have to say, I think was it 193 points at one stage, and they were rampaging, and the players to come back, everything is pointing in the right direction for them. Montbellew Mallow, it might be the kick in the backside that they needed, the Jamor McHale's, not that they needed, but a good stick for Val and the lads to beat them with. You just need a bit more patience. Teams will try and park the bus against them because of the forwards they have, but didn't do enough to jump above Cullen, but certainly didn't do enough to drop any places either.
So it's still kind of is this Mike Collins county title to lose really?
Jeez, Paul, you're going to throw me rightly under a bus. Like you have to pick someone, and right now I'd be picking Mike Cullen, but like if Montbellion Malloch get a good flow, and the Barry McHughes, maybe Michael Daly gets a bit of form, who knows about Patrick Kelly, then like the reality is, I think I want to see a Clare Galway v another team in a county final, but the neutral supporter, or if Clare Galway aren't there, I want to see him up Montbellion Malloch, Mike Cullen county final, and I think that would be a game for the ages.
Yeah, so the next 2 rounds really are going to tell a lot in the senior championship. Then we're going to get towards the knockout stage. But that's all on the senior rankings. We're going to move now on to the intermediate rankings. We have here from 9 to 16. So it's Williamstown down one place, Gabriel's up one place, and then from 14 to 11 stays the way it is. Clifton 14 to Cullinane, and 13 to Kilkenny and 12. Ancar in 11th. Kirpin's second team down 2 places after a narrow defeat to Montevideo over the weekend. And Cortine Shamrocks losing out that local derby to Kilconnelly at the weekend. They're down 3 places. Just on 15th and 16th here, you have Gabriel's up 1 and Williamstown down 1.
Yeah, Williamstown shipped they get a now 6 points defeat against Glan. Now Glan are good, and I thought St Gabriel's. They played who was I thinking about St Gabriel's now? They played it escapes me who St Gabriel's played at the weekend, but they I know they played the Aran Islands, and it was 210 to 14 points. So again, kicking 14 points against the Aran Islands is a good outing, considering the Aran Islands. Sean Mulcairn is going really, really well from them. So yeah, I thought that deserved a reward. Again, not that they're going to take too much stock in me giving them a reward, but yeah, it pushed them up. And as Williamstown shipped a heavy beating. I thought Clifton played, Clifton had a relatively good result as well against Caltra. They were kind of down, but they battled hard and came back into the game, and then Caltra kind of pushed away towards the end. So nothing massively changes down there at the bottom. Don't think any team has done anything to deserve really pushing them up the table, but it's competitive down there.
Yeah, just with that, obviously, Gabriel's had worked really competitive there against Lillenarin, and they play Killerar next. So whoever wins goes into prelims, and whoever loses goes into relegation. And you can Curfin B and Clifton, Gabriel's they'll obviously play Killerar, and you have Kilcar and Clonberne playing Cortine Shamrocks as well. So a lot of this is going to tell a lot.
Yeah, it's funny, like if it was in the old format where top 2 teams straight into a quarter final, the groups were actually decided already. You have 2 teams in all of the groups. It's really unusual. You have 2 teams on 4 points, 2 teams on no points. So, and I think in the final round, first place second in each group, and second and third place fourth. So it's hugely competitive, and still all to play for every team, because even though you have no points, you turn around, you win your last game, you go to 2, means you're in the preliminary quarterfinal. So loads and loads to play for. Killerar, they shipped a fairly heavy defeat from Moore, who are going well. They've good players, the likes of Malachy Black and these lads, they're powering forward, and I'd like to see Moore go and push. I think they deserve it as a club. But Killerar shipped a fairly heavy defeat against them at the weekend. So
all these teams from 11 to 14 are just struggling at the minute, aren't they?
Yeah, you would have expected maybe on Carua to be a little bit stronger, but it's just that they just don't have the playing resources at the minute. And good win for St Brendan's. 3-11, good score, and see the 112, which is probably a bit high, but again they'll be happy. And unfortunately from 11 down, it just doesn't make overly pretty reading. Like Micheál Brannach's who going really well, put a good score on Kilkerran-Clonberne, and I think they play, do Kilkerran-Clonberne play Corton Shamrocks in the last one, so again, local rivalry, and Cortoon, and Cortoon probably be favourites for that one, but Kilkerran-Clonberne, and Cortoon, I know they dropped places, they've no points, got bet by Kilcondy goal, but they'll expect to be they would have expected to be in a better position, and they certainly expect to be in the knockout stages, so I will see them pipping that one.
Is Cartoons and Curtin second just a result of the teams in good form, because both of them were competitive over the weekend?
Yeah, I think so. So like, Monivea Abbey would be one of my kind of fancies for this competition. I think half time they might have been down to Corfin. So again, it showed good battling qualities to come back and win it. I think they won it by points in the end. Yeah. So like Corton Shamrocks 115, good score, but 215 the big one to concede. So really good win for Kilcondy. They're number one, but I don't think they're runaway leaders with this thing. If you're looking at who's number one in the senior rankings, you'd say they're strong favourites, but you'd say Kilcondy are number one, but there's plenty of teams, right in their coattails, and will certainly feel that come county final day that their name could be at the top of the list. But so far, Kilcondy have done everything that they've been asked to do.
Yeah, one or two Kilcondy lads have been on. They haven't exactly liked this pressure, so it will be interesting to see where they stay there. But just from first to eighth, Kilcondy first, Monivea Abbey up one place, Micheál Brannach's up two, Glenamaddie down two, Illanorn down one, Caltra up one, Ormore Mary up two, and St. Brendan's up two. Brendan's, Ormore, and Caltra all go up places, and it's really because they've shown improvements and shown form and have shown a pattern of play, and they've all them sides have looked good early on in the championship.
Yeah, and the Caltra lads have bullied me into putting them up a bit further up the table, but no, they're deservedly, did really well. Looked, St. Gabriel's, Clifton, wasn't it? Clifton put it up to them, but in the end they still come out on top, and they're 4 points, and they play in their last game. They play Monivea Abbey, isn't it, in their last game?
Yeah.
So that'll be a good test for them to see exactly where they are. They know they're guaranteed to be in at least a preliminary quarter final. They'll want to be going straight to a quarter final, but Caltra doing really well. Glenamaddie dropping two, I think that's no reflection on Glenamaddie, but you have to be really impressed with what Micheál Brannach's are doing, and I think Monivea Abbey are going well too. So that has nothing to do with Glen. I just think that at the moment those two teams are showing really, really good form. Illanorn dropping out probably again was just maybe more so on form than anything else, and not form, but just when you look at, you would have expected them to be a little bit better winners, a little bit better winners at the weekend, and like they'll have been disappointed to only beat St. Gabriel's by 2 points. No reflection on St. Gabriel's, but Ireland will see themselves as real contenders, and to concede 14 scores against them, not great either. So not panic stations by any means, but still on 4 points. They're in the knockout stages, but just a felt form was something to consider in this one.
Is there nothing between first and fourth for you?
No, nothing between first and fourth, and then 5, 6, 7, and 8 is really, really tight as well. To me, they will be at the minute the top 8 teams, and it'd be interesting to see come quarter final time. We might look back at this weekend and see, what eight will end up in quarter final games, and what 8 won't, because it's tight, it's competitive, and plenty of teams are putting their hands up.
It's just one of those championships that's going to be really hard to tell. There's definitely going to be a few shocks along the way. Just before we finish, Barry, obviously the news came there of the new Galway under-20 manager at the weekend. And you look at the backroom team he's assembled already. It's quite impressive. But how much of a positive now is it to have Derek Savage as manager of the Galway under-20s?
Yeah, absolutely. But you kind of can't look forward without looking back, and Donal Flaherty. I'm not sure like where Donal Flaherty sees his future, but his legacy towards Galway football, if that was his last hurrah, is incredible, and he has been a brilliant servant to all of those players that have kind of gone through his tenure as minor and under-20 manager, and he certainly owes Galway football nothing, and hopefully we'll see him back with the Bannister bib on the line in the future, be it for Galway or on Spidgel or whatever club takes his fancy, because he certainly did an incredible job, and the one thing that I always took from Donal was it always looked like this was for Galway. There was never an ego about him, or he never looked for the limelight. He just wanted to do the best that he could for those players and for Galway. Savo, he is probably a hero of Galway football, and obviously a hero in Cartoon. He has kind of cut his teeth at the under-15s, and I would say he's ambitious. If just like for I wouldn't know Savo overly well, but from what I know of Savo is like he's really ambitious. He's a very, very good communicator. He knows football inside out. He's a strong personality, and he will want to do his very, very best to put his stamp on it and make sure that whatever bunch in the 3-year period that he's there, that the bunch of footballers that come through are coming through at a level that can go on and play senior football for Galway. And I think that's his remit, and he has put a backroom team in place that will support him and all that. But as I said, it's a brilliant appointment for Galway football. And I think anyone that's under 20 and looking forward to going in and listening to the coaching ticket that he has with him as well will be very excited, and will look forward to a long and fruitful year ahead.
Yeah, and even with that, it gets you excited for the under-20 championship. You see Mayo's ticket too, James Horan and Keith Higgins back, always too. It'll make it interesting. But that's all we have on our edition of this week's Power Rankings. And we'll be back the following week when I'm sure we're going to have a bit of movement as well in the Power Rankings. But that's all for this week.